Yep, not quite able to do that. So we move on now to the men's 200 butterfly.
And heat one of the three heats there. In lane 2, Neil McCoush from Ren 96 goes in lane number 2. Andrew Watt from Gala in lane 3. Joe Ewing from Warrender, who's the early leader, he goes in lane number 4. Scott Birtles, Dundee City Aquatic in 5. Matthew Gordon from South Ayrshire in 6. And another South Ayrshire swimmer, John Houston. He goes in lane number 7. There we have had a tweet. Oh, it's good to hear from the Dodds. At hashtag ADOpen16. We are working hard at home. Sounds like the Dodster is working just as hard.
She certainly did. She put in a storming swim. And there's a pretty tight one here. The centre lanes, Joe Ewing of Warrender in 4, Scott Birtles, Dundee City Aquatics in 5. Red versus white here. And, well, you can see there as they come up to the 50, there's not much between them. Joe Ewing just with the touch, only 400s in it though, 107.62. Youth Development Squad member Joe, 14-year-old this year. Winner in this pool at the summer meet last year. Of course, this is the last chance weekend for qualifying for British Summer Championships and Scottish Summer Meet, so that's another important reason to post good times here. And these two are really at it, hammer and tongs, Paul. Call a winner now if you're brave enough.
Well, it does seem very, very tight indeed. It looks like the momentum going into that turn was with Joe Ewing in lane number 4. Let's see what they're like coming out of that one. Well, it is very, very close indeed. Joe Ewing maybe just looking a little bit flatter on the water there. And it looks like lane number 5, Scott Birtles, is now struggling here, but coming through very strongly is Andrew Watt from Gala. And, well, you wouldn't have certainly have picked him with 50 to go, but it does look like Joe Ewing may hang on to it. But coming through strongly is Andrew Watt, and he is going to take it. It is going to be Andrew Watt, 224.46 and 224.87 for Joe Ewing. But what a great finish there for Andrew Watt. Well, Joe Ewing must have thought he'd seen off the challenge from Scott Birtles on one side, looks to the other side, and there is Andrew Watt finishing like a train.
Yeah, I was saying call the winner at 150, but I wasn't thinking about Andrew. I must admit that was a storming last 50. 3 seconds inside his entry time. So there'll be some happiness down Galloway. We've mentioned Gala quite a lot this afternoon.
We have. We saw them get one of the junior medals last night. May see them feature in the medals again when we come to the final sessions this evening. But that was a cracking swim there. Second heat is underway. Looks like we do have a spare lane in this one, so we have 5 swimmers taking the start. That's Michael Flynn in lane number 2 from Cumbernauld, Carl Barrett from Weston Berkshire in lane number 3, George Clough from Warrender in 4, Luke Mathewson from Stirling in lane number 5, and Max Hitchcock from Geary out there in lane number 7. So first of the turn, George Clough under the 30-second mark, and George Clough's entry time 2:22 dead, and he has to, well, to get into the reserve position, he has to improve that by just under a second. 2:21.16 is 4th reserve, and 2:19 to guarantee a place in that B final, Duncan.
So George, a very strong breaststroker, but quite often the good breaststrokers are pretty good fly swimmers as well. And well, with a 104 for the first 100, you'd maybe fancy him to get a second swim tonight. Needs to sustain it. He was pacing around 34.5. So another 2 of those would be around a 2:13. It would be very comfortably into the B final. Let's see, it's one thing to work it out hypothetically, is another thing to do it in the pool. But he's a long way clear from the Western Bartonshire swimmer Carl Barrett, with the yellow cap Luke Matthewson in third. 1:40.13, 36 second, third 50.
Well, that'll give him somewhere in the region of 2:16, 2:17, which will be enough to put him into that B final if he can continue this. He's got 25 to go. Still looks like he's keeping the length on that stroke as he comes into the final stages. This promises to be a very, very good time indeed for George Clough. He will be very, very pleased to see the end of the pool coming up here. He is going to be about 2:16, I think. 2:17.31, that's good enough, and that will guarantee him a place in the B final. He will have to do it all over again in a few hours.
Well, I don't suppose you'll be too disappointed about that. Just 2:17.31. Don't have any 200 butterfly form against George Clough, so I think it's not an event he does very often, but well, that was a good workout and certainly puts himself well into contention in the B final. He'll be right in the mix there. In that 2:17s, there's a pack of swimmers around that 2:17 mark, so we'll see how he does later on this evening.
Well, the result is confirmed, 2:17.31. Carl Barrett in second, Luke Matthewson in third position. And you said, Duncan, he'll have lots of swimmers alongside him. He won't be on his own this time. And we'll see how he can get on. Maybe that'll push him on to another excellent time there, but a good swim there from George Clough, forcing his way into that B final. We have the final heat of this 200 metres butterfly. We do have 6 swimmers taking the start in this one. Connor Walsh from Dundee City Aquatic in 2, Finlay Hastings from Dumfries in 3, Stuart Brody from East Kilbride in 4, Ian Rose Warrender in 5, Ian Rennie in 6, and George Cowan in 7, both Dundee City Aquatics. And can anyone challenge the pace there that was set by George Clough in that previous heat? 30.71 for Stuart Brody at the first turn, so maybe about a second slower than George Clough was in that previous race. And he's got some company alongside him, Ian Rose from Warrender in the red cap, and Ian Rennie in the white cap there, Dundee City Aquatics. So as they go into the halfway point, it is the East Kilbride swimmer, Stuart Brody, in 105.80. Leads Ian Rennie and leads Ian Rose at halfway point. Well, giving himself a chance to get inside that into that B final. 2:19.02 is the B final cut-off point now.
Yes, I think he's swimming it quite differently from George Clough, who really pushed it out in the first half. This is a more measured swim from Stuart Brody, but he's only pacing at a fairly similar pace now and may have given himself something in hand to take into the final 50. Let's check the split, 1:41.73. So he's around a second and a half back on George's time at the same stage. But, well, he could certainly threaten here, I would think. As you said, Paul, 2:19.02 now is the target time. Tom Jeffers, unfortunately, has been pushed out. Owen Strachan is the one at risk now, the Carnegie swimmer, so he'll be watching with interest as to what happens here. Stuart, with 15 metres to go now, is bringing it in. He's certainly well clear of that battle for second. Ian Rose and Ian Rennie. Let's check on the time then as Stuart comes in. Oh, just slipped away in the end, 2:19.50. He will be in the reserves, but not in the B final. So just checking that out. I think that would make him third reserve. So Jeffers now becomes first reserve. Finley Hart second reserve. I think he'll be third reserve ahead of Gianni Napolitano. 2:19.50 then. Ian Rose winning the Battle of the Ians over Ian Rennie. Not much between then, just 2/10, 2:24.23, 2:24.44. Stuart Brody, though, the winner of the third heat.